Hello, everyone. Dr. Eames here. This time, I'd like to talk to you about equality or inequality as it applies to cultures. Now, in the most general way, we could say that equality means democratic cultures where power distance is low. But on the other hand, we would also say inequality means rank status cultures where power distance is high. So let's just discuss this concept of power distance a little bit. Um, In our society, democratic culture, where we believe in equality, power comes from the position, from the job, not the person. Consultation is appreciated from our leaders, but it's not necessarily expected. And so, therefore, in democratic cultures, power distance is low. For instance, if you were to pass the president of the college on the sidewalk, you might feel fine with just saying, hello, good morning, Mr. President. Well, in many places in the world, you wouldn't do that because of the power distance being much higher. But here, it's about the position that gives you that power, not necessarily the person. Uh, Examples of moderately egalitarian cultures in the world: Japan, the United States, and probably most European countries. If we have change in these cultures, radical change, it usually starts at the top for these cultures, but there has to be buy-in from the subordinates along the way, or change will not happen. Um, Moderate status differences and privileges for leaders are accepted in a democratic culture, in an egalitarian culture, but there have to be moderate. Rules in law, they apply to the leaders and the subordinates alike. In very egalitarian societies, you must have group consensus for any change to take place. It is very difficult to get everyone to agree on the same thing, and that's what group consensus would mean. Some examples of some very egalitarian cultures would be the Scandinavian countries, Israel, and even Austria. Here we see that any status differences are really suspect in a democratic culture. Now, on the other hand, inequality generally equals a rank status culture of some type. In this scenario, these cultures, leaders control. They are expected to make the right decisions. They should have wealth and status. And in fact, the boss should not be questioned or challenged. And when it comes to the workplace is usually completely boss centered. And so, good examples of this are Latino and Asian cultures. You simply don't go up to the boss in these cultures in a general sort of way and suggest new innovations and creative ways to do things. You're infringing on their turf. You're traveling out of your lane, so to speak. Um, Authority figures in these cultures are very patriarchal. They act father like in some instances. They are benevolent autocrats. They use status symbols widely. And generally, we see that the organization itself would be identified by one or two very strong individuals in a figurehead sort of way. Um, these sorts of societies where we have inequality, rank status, are really vertical societies. The only way that we get change in these sort of cultures is from the top by decree, or you will have revolution, and that will make change. So these are extremely hierarchical cultures, and inequality, rank status cultures are generally collectivist cultures. Here we have to say power distance is very high. Examples of very high power distance is found in most underdeveloped and indeed developing countries. Okay, folks, that's all I want to talk about this time. I'll talk